Quick update on body work. So we got this door ready to totally block out. We put a coat of Guide Coat Black on it. So what that does is once this dry, well, it's dry now, it dries very fast. I think it's lacquer based. But once it dries and everything, when you block it, now I'll block it with probably 220, it'll show any low spots at all or any sanding marks. Once we get that done, we can put a primer sealer on it, and it'll be a high build primer, so it'll cover any scratches. And what we do is, I've done in the past, is let that set up for a month or so. You know, people do that and they wait a day, and then thing is, paint and everything does shrink. So if you can wait a little bit, it does help. Also the trunk, same thing, got a Guide Coat on it, gonna finish blocking that out. Actually came out very well. It really, I'm impressed. It came out nice. Still working on this quarter panel. Working mostly up here. We're just on our rough coat here. This is where the factory seam was, and it was very rough. Still got to do something right in there. You can feel it. They say the best way to do this is close your eyes or look away and feel with your hands, and you'll be able to feel any imperfection. So this pretty much is done. I just got to hit it with some 220. And I got to finish down here. There's a low spot there, a low spot there, so I got to do a little filler. When I mix this coat up, I will do that. And then we'll put Guide Coat on that. And like I said, generally people don't put Guide Coat on until they're last, before they block out and put sealer paint primer on it and then paint it. But I'm trying to eliminate some work for later on. This way, once I put the high build primer on it, it should be pretty much ready to go. I'll have to block it out, of course, but it should be pretty much ready to go with the body work, as long as I don't ding it or dent it while I'm working on something, which is possible because it's tight. So gonna, like I said, put another coat on there, another coat on there, block this out, block that out, trying to get all this ready for primer filler, sealer, and hopefully shoot that tomorrow. We'll see. So pick you up when we do it. So we are finally getting ready to prime this with primer, sealer, filler. And what I did here was, to block out any overspray, I took an old piece of sheetrock I had left over from the house and traced the old window, put it in there. I soaked it really good with water so it conformed to it, and put a screw there and a screw there, and it holds it perfect. That'll keep a majority of the overspray out of there. I just taped off this window. Just and the window is going to come out, but it's just good to keep the stuff out of the interior. And I made a little piece for the windshield also. But so I just wanted to show you. Now remember, it looks like a lot of body filler. This body filler is less, at the deepest part, is maybe a 1/16 of an inch. I have a light magnet here for this. I mean, you can see right there. It's a little thicker than a, because that's where the seam is, where I seamed it. But you know, all along here, it's a little thicker there where the bullet hole was. But the magnet generally will pick up if it's 1/16 or less. This is all, I mean, very thin here. You can see how it sticks real easily. But like I said, it looks like a lot of billet. All it is to make it straight. And on any restoration, they use a lot of filler, but 90% of it gets sanded off. So it's just how it is. But everything feels great. Like I said, you kind of, from what my buddy was saying, you really can't go by what it looks like. You have to feel it, because your fingertips can find anything, any kind of imperfection. But, and of course you do have to look to make sure you can see how straight that wheel well is. And remember, it was seamed here, and this was all part of the patch. So, and there was a little crease there. That's why that's there. But, you know, some high spots, low spots. So there's 2 coats of primer under this. It's epoxy primer and the other primer that we went over. And now what we're going to do is put a primer sealer slash filler. And that's going to seal everything. We'll do the quarter panel, most of the roof, the trunk, and the door right now. And then we are going to work on the hood. Got to do that. Got to bore that, and I still got to mess with this fender. But what we'll do is, to get the door out of the way, is once it's primed, we'll hang it back on the car so it's out of the way. This way. And then hopefully in the near future, I keep saying this, we're going to turn the car around so we can work on the other side, pull the motor out, and then pull the body off the frame. But we're getting there. And also, just a heads up, and you know, I'm probably more anal than most people, but when you do this body work, do all your edges, even though people don't see them. People feel, you don't, like if you put your hand in there, you don't want to cut your hand up or anything. Sand everything. So this way it feels smooth on the inside where it meets the wheel well. And that's how it was from the factory. So, you know, one thing when you buy a used car, especially an old car, you take your hand and run you don't want to feel all kinds of clumps in there. That's a big no-no. Then you know it's all filler and who knows what. I've seen spray foam, I've seen a little bit of everything, but there are a couple little pinholes in this. Hopefully the primer sealer will fill them, and we're gonna probably do that tomorrow. It's very warm today. It's 70 plus degrees, but it's very humid, so I think tomorrow's high is only 49, but I'd rather do 49 with the heater on than 70 with the humidity. So we'll wait probably to tomorrow, get it cranked up in here in the morning, get it good, and then shoot this. Like I said, doesn't have to be perfect. It's all getting sanded off anyway, and I don't know how I've gotten this much done without his help. He is such a big help. He guards everything, lets me know if anybody's coming, lets me know if I use the air chuck or the blower, because he hates it, but he's good help. Luke, I am your father. All right, we are going to spray this. So we're going to spray this, the quarter panel, and the door. So what I did, I didn't show you before. I have a mask on because I already sprayed this urethane epoxy primer. I sprayed up in there, had a little bit of surface rust, so I sanded it real good, wire brushed it, and just shot that. Usually you wouldn't do that with that, but it was the best thing to do. So we urethane that, and then the rest of everything is going to get high build primer. So we're all ready to spray. Just got to get the gun, set the pattern on it, and hopefully go. So we'll pick you up after we do the first coat and show you how it's going. Hopefully it lays out. 72 degrees in here, which is nice. And we'll go from there. All right, here we go. So we got 3 coats on all of the places where there's filler. This part of the trunk, actually it's dry. It only has like 1 coat. This part has 3 where it was blended. It actually came out really good. The trunk came out really nice. I don't know if you can see that, but can't even tell there was any body work done there or anything. This quarter, of course, has to be replaced, so we're not worried about that. Door came out pretty good also. What I did was I spotted the places where the body filler was in first, did a light coat on them, and then brushed the whole door. This stuff dries very fast. Of course, it is 75 degrees in here, so, but it does dry very fast. Looks really good though. I don't know, we got some kind of buggy going on in here. I don't know if you can see all those little spots up there. I don't know what they are. Some kind of buggy. But all in all, it came out really good though. I wasn't crazy about how it sprayed out of the gun. It could be me, it could be the gun. I don't know. It didn't seem to lay out. It's weird because the epoxy primer seemed, oh, see, I touched that there and that was still a little soft. The epoxy primer laid out really well, but this stuff, I don't know if it's just so thick, but all in all, it's pretty good. And like I said, we got 3 coats on where the body filler is. So now everything is sealed. And what we'll do eventually is hit it with the guide coat, which is this, the Black Sem guide coat. We'll hit it with that, mist that on there, and then block it all out. But we won't do that until before, you know, it gets painted. Everything, have a lot of other stuff to do before then. So, all right, so that's primed. We still have to do this fender. We have to do the body work on the fender. Have to do the body work on the hood here. Probably work on that next, and then try to get that in primer, and then we will turn the car around. So we'll pick you up when we do that. So we took the door out of here. We put that down by the Mustang, get it out of the way. Put the fenders here on the horses. Like I said, it's garage is tight, so you got to juggle around. What I did was I taped the back of this up because all my supplies are in the trunk to keep them out of the way, and I'm in and out, so I don't want to get oily fingerprints on the primer. So I taped that up. I started doing some body work on this, on the fender, just a smear. Got to fill where those molding holes were, and then blend that in, and same down there where I did the patches. And I also put the hood back on the car. I wish I could have filmed that, because that would have been hilarious. You know, I do this stuff and I forget that I'm 55 years old. So that was a little interesting, putting that back on by myself. But we got it back on and started doing body work here. Now this isn't pretty at all. And my buddy told me, he says, don't worry about how it looks on the first coat. You're going to do at least 3 coats at a minimum. All I'm trying to do is get this contour back. So what we're going to do is let this set up a little bit, and then we'll shave the worst of it with a razor blade. If I can find a razor blade, I will show you. Here's the razor blade. Just a single edge razor blade. Say that 10 times. And what we do is we just scrape it, and it takes all the high spots off, and it just saves some sanding. My buddy told me about that, and definitely works. It, you know, saves you, you know, sanding a little bit. It gets the high spots off, and you can kind of cut and mold the way you want to. See, around this light, it's got to be cut. But we'll just shave the high spots off, and you can see everything that's coming off. I think that's an old body trick from, like here, I have to make this curve, so we just kind of cut it off. And you can sand it with the sander also, but this just saves a little bit of sandpaper and a little bit of a headache, I think. It's a great idea. You hit the high spots. Just like that, just shaving some off. I don't know if people know this, my construction background, but so when they do hardwood floors, when they finish them, they sand them, of course, but they also, in the corners, this is how they do it. They actually scrape it with a special tool that actually scrapes the top layer off to refinish. And that's what most professional flooring guys do, the refinishers. So I learned that many years ago. And you can see all the stuff that's coming off. And all I'm doing is just shaping a little bit. I'm not trying to make it smooth or anything. I'm just trying to shape. This edge had a little dent in it. But you see all that came off of there. So just a little kind of pro tip, not from a pro. And then we'll do the same here. We'll cut this top edge off. And you can see this is still kind of soft. So just cut that right off. Scrape that. Yeah, this is still a little soft, but you can see it's coming off. And all we're trying to do is get a little contour to it. Like I said, you'll do more with the flat board That'll really do it. The flat board will actually make the contour, but just trying to start that. So, all right, we'll get a couple of coats on here, and we'll show you along the way. Hopefully this fender isn't going to take too much. I noticed there's some old filler there that I'm going to probably sand out. But I got to block this out. And like I said, 90+% of this filler comes off. I was just watching Bad Chad on YouTube. I don't know if anybody's familiar with him, but he does a lot of old car restoration stuff. And he generally coats the whole car. Every single panel, puts a skim coat of body filler on it and then blocks it all off. But that's the only way you can get it straight. There's no other way to get a car straight. So, like I said before, if you don't think your car has filler, you're in for a rude awakening.